In many ways, this is unfinished business. On June 23rd, 2016, in the biggest democratic exercise in the history of these islands, the British people, despite being told by all the businesses and all the trade unions and much of the press and most of this House, managed, despite everything, children be quiet. managed.
Order. I will be responsible for maintaining order in this chamber. Nigel Farage.
Yes, Madam Deputy, I'm sure you will allow me the opportunity to continue to try and say something without such constant interventions, and I thank you for that. And we voted clearly by a massive margin for the British people to bring back the sovereignty. And by the way, what makes me laugh about this isn't just the sovereignty of this country, it's the sovereignty of this very chamber and the people within it, to bring power back to this very place, and that is what we voted for. And of course, one of the most important subsets, one of the biggest reasons for that vote to happen, was the deep alarm at the huge numbers of people coming into our country. The fact that effectively we had open borders, making us poorer in every way. Now, of course, our membership of the European Council, of the European Convention, and then its writing into British law in 1998 kind of enshrined this, and it's what I think Tony Blair wanted us to do. Now, I believe that Brexit cannot be complete, all the while we're subject to a foreign court and frankly, a piece of legislation brought in by the Blair government upon which judges can choose their own political interpretation. We are not sovereign, all the while we are part of the ECHR, the European Council, and its associated court. It's as simple as that. And do you wonder, it's marvellous to see the intellectual levels of debate in this place, it really is. Do you wonder that out in the country there is growing frustration?
Order. Can I remind members that the honourable gentleman has a 10-minute rule bill in front of this House and should be listened to without interruption. Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I was talking about fear growing in the country, anger growing in the country. I sense there's also a bit of that growing in this chamber as well. I do not believe that it is right that we should, when it comes to controlling our borders, when it comes to who should be able legally to live, work and settle in this country, or indeed who should not be allowed to stay in our country, for this to be under the remit, firstly, of judges in Strasbourg, who, by the way, are jurists, most of them not even legally qualified, and secondly, under the political control of judges in this country who now can make their own interpretation of what we've understood for many, many years to be British common law. This bill intends to restore the power of this Parliament, the power of all of you as MPs, to actually be in control of the things that really matter most to all of your voters, whether they supported you or not. This bill intends to return British common law and to bring back some ideas, rather than state-given rights, of birthrights, of liberty and freedom. These are things that over centuries served our country far better than any other nation in the European continent. This is about liberty, it's about freedom, it's about democratic control. And just think of this. Whatever election result there is, even if 650 of us wanted to change rules on who can come across the channel and who can stay, we could be overruled by a convention we signed up to in 1998. We could literally, don't shake your heads, we could literally be overruled. Literally be overruled. So this is about sovereignty. This is about sovereignty of the country. It's about sovereignty of our parliament. It's about our voters being able to choose the future course and direction of our own country. And that is why this matters. And let's just remind ourselves, very briefly, of some of the worst examples of where the ECHR takes away our democratic rights. To begin, and it's really interesting, isn't it? It was the last Conservative government who decided to put in place the Rwanda legislation. In theory, very good. It would act as a deterrent. Unless you support the criminal gangs, yes, it was a very good idea. A very good idea.
It was brilliant.
The trouble was it couldn't happen. And why couldn't it happen? Well, because if you think about the Rwanda deportation flight in 2022, at 10 p.m. at night, a single judge in Strasbourg, one without any legal qualification, decided on the basis of Article 3 the flight could not take off. And we go on, of course, to horrendous stories, particularly under Article 8, the right to a family life. Well, whose family? The families of British people, or the families of those who've come into Britain, in some cases illegally, and then been waved through? Some of it is disgusting beyond belief. A Pakistani child sex offender dodged deportation on the basis that his removal would harm the children that he'd had in this country. And this goes on and on and on. Brazilian murderers, rapists, many others who claim under Article 8 the right to a family life. Well, what about British families? What about their rights? What about their freedoms? What are your priorities here as members of this place? Now, of course, we'll be told that by leaving this completely outdated 75-year-old convention, and by the way, I fully understand why in the 1940s this was signed up to, because the other European countries did not have constitutions, did not have democracies that could pretend them that could prevent them going into extremism. But it's now completely outdated. We are not Russia. We are not Belarus. Indeed. Countries like New Zealand, Australia, Canada. Nobody in this room would say they're barbaric or backward countries. They defend freedoms. But I don't defend state-given human rights, because they can be taken away by the very state that has been given to them in the first place. I've never seen so many Liberal Democrats in all my life. I've seen mine.
Order! Continue.
I would ask the Liberal Democrats and others in this place, what is wrong with you? Do you not believe? Do you not believe?
We've got a list for you. You've only got 10 minutes, mate.
Do you not believe this country is good enough to make its own laws? Do you not believe that the country that since Magna Carta has developed the principle of common law, and with its faults perhaps been the best ever developed by civilization, do you not believe we're good enough to make these rules? Or we stick with outdated conventions preyed on by human rights lawyers in this country? I move this bill will restore democratic trust and faith in this once great nation. Thank you.